storm, man. Nobody calls Han Solo a bitch.
Bring him on. I prefer a straight fight to all this sneaking around.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
Oh, come on, bro. It's the wars.
So we took 2 weeks to do some house cleaning and kind of take a break from the Rise of Skywalker, but we all knew it was coming back into the conversation. This is The Wars and More. I'm Joe, and of course with me is my good buddy Doug. Hey Doug, how you doing this week?
Doing pretty good, Joe. How are you doing?
I'm not doing too bad. So, episode 9.
Yep.
This is the movie that everybody talks about what could have been.
Yeah. Yes.
In a much more drastic way than I think has ever happened before.
Right.
I mean, there's been complaints before.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it's Star Wars. There's always complaints. This kind of goes with the territory, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there was complaints about the prequel. I mean, ever since the special editions, complaining about Star Wars is a thing.
Hey, ever since Return of the Jedi, from my recollection.
Oh yeah,
because we didn't need little teddy bears to win.
What's with the teddy bears?
Right, exactly. But let's.
I mean, really wasn't from my recollection, so just tossing that out there.
Yeah, But I see what you're saying, because this is. It seems that people are latching on to whatever they can to I don't know, try and help explain why they don't like it or why it's not quite what they would have imagined or whatever.
This is going to be off topic and I don't want to really go this direction, but I saw a article that was written that talked about some blog post that Chuck Wendig had talking about how he would do the Rise or the sequel trilogy. And people were like talking about that, and I'm like, wait. You thought the Rise of Skywalker was chaotic.
Yeah.
And you want to give it to Chuck Wendig?
Yeah.
I mean, Chuck Wendig was the master of let's tell this story. Oh, wait, we're over here.
Right.
Oh, wait, we're over here.
Yes. Yeah.
So
my only comment there is I've read those books. I'm glad they didn't give it to Chuck.
And writing a novel versus writing a movie script is two different things.
Oh, for sure.
But we're not here to bash anybody or anything like that. I just that wasn't my thing. But I was just comparing the chaoticness of the Rise of Skywalker. It was very busy.
Sure.
No argument.
There's no doubt about that.
But if you think that a Chuck Wendig story would have been less chaotic, whew.
Yeah, I know.
That's my only comparison there. Is like he bounced around more than any writer in my recollection.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, to the point where it was like it takes you a minute to like catch up and figure out where the heck you're at in the story. Like,
yeah, it's like you read the next couple lines and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, where am I?
Right. And here we are going off on a tangent, but not to mention, there were small little things inserted in there that ended up having nothing to do with anything.
It weren't even in the same timeline.
Right. So, yeah.
Like in this blast from the past.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Enough of that. But what's spawning all the debate right now and the conversation right now is the concept art from Colin Treverrow's Duel of the Fates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, look, these are cool pictures.
There are some really cool things in here. I'm not going to lie. Like, there's some cool Star Wars things in here.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, I read comments and it's like, we had a chance at this highly original story. It's like, what? I mean,
Right.
Leia's literally wearing Luke's costume from Return of the Jedi. But in that same image, I'm like, hell yeah, she's got a saber staff. I've been saying she should have a saber staff
Right.
for 3 movies.
Yes. But there's so much in here that it just makes you think, you know, this probably would have had a lot of the same complaints that The Force Awakens had. Right? I mean, I'm looking like it's a retread of one of the original or some of the original trilogy, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm looking at the image of, it looks like levitating the Falcon out of some underwater or snowy place here. You know, just I don't know. There's all kinds of imagery that we were actually mentioning it before. Would you say a robotic arm or whatever, bringing a helmet down to Kylo Ren?
Yeah.
You know, that reeks of Empire Strikes Back to me. You know, Vader in his meditation chamber. You know.
Oh, and it looks like they built a meditation chamber here. Like right. Not just like really echoes of that. Like, no, like straight up ganked that.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's with that helmet.
Well, again, concept art, right? So
yeah, but I mean, it's definitely something different because it looks nothing like his helmet.
Well, it was destroyed, right?
Yeah, but why does his helmet have a cooling fan at the bottom?
I don't know. Hey, it gets hot in there.
And then is it supposed to be like a straight up samurai mask? Because it looks like a silver mouth, like hidden behind that, like the black there.
Yeah, something like that. I mean,
or like those immortals in the movie 300. You know,
it almost looks like that too. Yeah,
like,
and it almost looks kind of maybe almost like a hybrid of his old mask and Vader's, right? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, there's lots of cool stuff in here. Really interesting shot of Leia.
Yes. Looks like she's the Ewok village again or something.
Something, but it's a very it looks like a very good looking costume for Leia.
Oh, totally.
Like I really dig that imagery. Some of the new ships.
Yep.
Like these water skimmer looking things.
Yep.
They look cool. Super cool.
Definitely.
So there's tons of artwork that is super intriguing. And some stuff that I wouldn't have mind seeing implemented.
Sure.
But at the same time, there's nothing here that goes, wow, we got screwed.
Right, exactly. That's the whole point, isn't it? I mean, we got The Rise of Skywalker. And I am still completely content and satisfied with what we got. Seeing this stuff is no different for me than seeing like the earlier drafts of episode 4 and stuff that, you know, had extra stuff in there that we never got in the movie. You know, it's like, wow, you read
and
that
drastically different, you know?
Hey, that would have been cool to see, but we didn't end up with that. You know,
and the prequels are really good for that. There's tons of stuff in the prequels that was drastically different in the concept art.
Yeah. So, you know, this is, I don't know. It's just, this is the way.
Even in The
always
Force
been.
Awakens.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And again, right? We had George Lucas's ideas for what he thought was going to happen, which obviously didn't happen, versus what JJ ended up coming up with Lawrence Kasdan. It's I don't see how this is anything new, how this is some sort of you know, I don't even know what you call it, like
Phenomenon.
yeah, it's I just, this is just the way movies are made, right? They invest a lot into, you know, seeing things this far and then making decisions. Well, this is not the way we're going to go. We're going to go with this way. And it happens all the time. It's not anything new. I don't know. Again,
And like seeing some of this this artwork for, I'm assuming this is, I don't know if this is Mortis. Like crash landed on.
Yeah,
I mean, that would be pretty small to be Mortis, but
it is the assumption.
But this imagery for like what would be, and what I would assume became Exegol.
Yeah,
It's not a far stretch.
no,
Some of this temple looking artwork, it's not a far stretch from what we got.
exactly.
So there's definitely some influence here. This wasn't completely scrapped.
Right.
And
none of this.
I don't know what Yoda's doing there.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yoda, and I don't know, he found the fairy wonderland or something. This is the Disney pixie dust.
Well, I was going to say,
I don't know.
that image right there is very reminiscent for me of Yoda in season 6 of the Clone Wars with the
Oh wait, never mind. Now that I'm looking closer, those figures behind him, is this supposed to be the Jedi of old?
oh, probably, yeah. That could be exactly what that is.
That's
So,
definitely what it looks like.
Again, we got a version of that scene then, right? Just with the audio, you know, the
Yeah,
voices.
and I think we said many times, like seeing some physical appearance from some of the Jedi of old, particularly Anakin Skywalker,
Yes.
would have been huge.
Yes.
But we didn't get it.
Yeah, because we didn't get it doesn't make what we got any less good, in my opinion. You know, what we got was good.
Agreed.
I would have liked to have seen it, sure, but that's not what we got. It's I don't know how else to say it. It's just a matter of, you know, I don't know. I just can't go on criticizing and where there's no reason to, you know.
Right. One thing that does stand out to me as something I would have liked to have seen implemented more would be this imagery of Finn with the stormtroopers.
Right.
Seeing Finn kind of take up a leadership role with this group of defected stormtroopers. Seeing that kind of fleshed out more would have been cool.
Yes.
We got a version of that, but not in the way that it's kind of been talked about with this Treverrow script and with this imagery.
Yeah.
Would definitely have liked to have seen that fleshed out more. It was a very interesting storyline from the Rise of Skywalker itself. At its introduction, you know, he found this group of, you know, defected stormtroopers.
Yep.
You know, so there were more like him.
Exactly.
And especially when you have a resistance that has been severely weakened.
Yes.
Finding defectors would be a huge boost to not only their numbers, but just the the morale of what they're doing.
Right.
You know,
yeah, exactly. And I gotta say, with the setup we had in The Last Jedi for the quote unquote legend of Luke Skywalker, right, coming out and facing the whole First Order, so the rest of the Resistance can escape. I kind of like that whole concept better for Finn. The legend of him defecting and helping Poe escape gets around through the ranks of the First Order and makes more and more of them reconsider what they're doing with their life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and not only that, like I said, feeding the Resistance and their cause. You know, if people are willing to leave, like, it makes sense that people would leave the Resistance to have a promise of, the ability to live tomorrow when facing down the First Order. Captured. Yeah. You got a choice. You give us this information or you die.
Yeah.
So defection in those terms, it's very predictable. But defection from programmed soldiers who have been raised from birth to think a certain way.
Yep.
Defection because the First Order is doing just purely evil things has got to be such a confirmation of the cause of the Resistance.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a lot of strength to that story. There's a lot of confirmation and really affirmation for our characters.
There's something deep inside of everyone, no matter how much you've had it drilled into you that what you're doing is righteous, that deep down it's wrong. And therefore you are going to quote unquote resist it and defect from the First Order. And that's where I think it becomes that would contribute to the strength of what the Resistance is doing. Yes.
Yeah.
And
like I said, not only that, they were down to like 12 people.
Yeah, exactly. And then again, we're armchair quarterbacking this, but
let's be real here. Everybody's armchair quarterbacking this.
Of course. But the whole defector in the ranks of the First Order, you could have had one of these troopers who decides to defect, but I'm going to stay in place here and I'm going to feed information to the Resistance. Something like that could have been good. Yeah. But they went with the Hux thing, which I got to say, I did like when all of that went down. I did like his reasoning for it.
Yeah, I mean, Hux is not a good guy.
Exactly.
Like, no matter which way you cut it, he's not a good guy. He hates the Resistance.
Exactly.
He hates what they stand for.
But he's going to try and
But he hates Kylo Ren so much.
Yes.
That, and I'll tell you one thing for sure. His goals, if Kylo Ren were to die from what he's doing, his goals tomorrow are to reaffirm the strength of the First Order. To now, as potentially, maybe he's vying for that supreme leader.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's
true. And that's what he wants. He wants Ren out of the way.
Yep.
So he can become supreme leader and then bring order to the galaxy.
Yeah. Order. Right. So I did like that about the character, right? He's helping the Resistance only to allow them to be a thorn in Kylo Ren's side. So, but then when he's revealed as the informant, he's just done away with. and knowing that, you know, he didn't care about the Resistance, he just wants to get rid of Ren. It made you perfectly okay with the way his character went out, as far as I'm concerned.
Agreed. You know, there was a lot of comparison in the early days to him and Callus.
Oh yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, Hux is no Callus.
Exactly.
He is not doing this for any righteous reasons whatsoever. He is doing this purely out of hatred for Kylo Ren.
See, now there you remember what I said about one of the troop leaders or whatever who's gonna be the informant? That was Callus. That's exactly the model I was talking about. That's perfect.
Yeah, in Rebels, Callus became the new fulcrum, the new
informant,
you know, the informant for the rebellion.
Yes. So again, we could armchair quarterback this till the cows come home. We could figure this story would have been better, that story would have been better. You know, we got what we got, and again, I'm going to say it again. I think with where we were at with the story and all the pieces on the board where they were, it was wrapped up about the best way it could be. So,
right. Let me put it this way. I'm sure the concept art for many things that you've seen over the years that you didn't like the final product of, I'm sure the concept art, even the concept art that was used to make that, would get you excited for that film.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, let's see what would be like super hated. Oh, I'm sure the concept art for the final season of Game of Thrones looks amazing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I bet.
And it's the concept art that was used. But yet the final product doesn't necessarily reflect the concept art.
Well, okay.
Because the concept art is just that. It's a concept.
Right. That's what I was
This
just
is
about
your
to say.
basis for where you're going to start.
Yep. Let me liken this to something else. We've all seen concept art for cars. When does it ever look exactly like the concept art? Never. It's always close, but it's never exactly the same.
Oh yeah, I mean, I saw the concept art for the C8, hated it. Saw pictures of the C8, hated that. Finally got to see a C8. I was like, it's not bad.
Right. Absolutely.
Even though it still looks a little, and no offense to any European listeners, but this is an American muscle car. It should look like an American muscle car, not like a European sports car.
Hey,
European sports cars have their own category.
Exactly.
There's definitely European sports cars that I like.
Agreed.
But when it comes to my Corvette, just saying.
Yeah.
Although, like I said, in person, it looks a lot better than I thought it would.
Right on.
Talk about stuff that has nothing to do with Star Wars.
Yeah. Hey.
But yeah, I think this is something we're probably not done with talking about Duel of the Fates and, you know, how people feel about it. And like I said, there's plenty of stuff about this that I do like.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. It seems like perfect fan film fodder, if you're asking me.
Yeah.
I mean, let's stop being angry and let's be productive and just make fan films like, you know, like we do.
Yeah. That's been a thing. It's something that could, you know, I would not be opposed to seeing people do that. If there's something that you feel like you should have seen on screen, make it. You know, it's something Star Wars fans have been doing for years.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
Exactly. Why not?
I mean, I shouldn't say that.
Why?
Oh, no. I was going to say something kind of mean.
Oh, okay. I got you.
And I don't want to be mean.
Yeah, don't do that. That'll be all right.
So, yeah. All right. Let's move on to something else here.
Sure.
Well, everyone loves the child from The Mandalorian.
Yes, they do. This has been a phenomenon. This is caught hold big time. Everyone knows the term Baby Yoda now.
Yes. Baby Yoda. Well, at the risk of sounding like an advertisement, you can get a life-sized figure from Sideshow Collectibles of the child, the Baby Yoda. And it looks awesome.
Yeah. You know, we've known these guys have done great work for a long time now.
Yes.
I gotta say, this right here looks phenomenal. Especially being a 1-to-1 scale. This is wow.
Yeah, and I may be wrong here. I believe it is Sideshow that has done 1-to-1 scale stuff before.
Uh-huh.
Even just, 1-to-1 scale busts.
Right.
Yes. It's a bust, but it's 1-to-1 in that portion of the character.
Yes.
Hell, they might have even done 1-to-1 full figures before. I would not put it past them. They go all out.
Yeah.
But as a 1-to-1 figure, it's stunning. The level of detail that Sideshow is known for is very, very prevalent in this. It's cool.
Absolutely.
And surprisingly wouldn't set you back as much as you'd think.
Yeah. You made me guess. I was way off.
Yeah, you went way high.
I did.
Way high.
I did.
And even the price point of this still seems kind of way high.
Sure.
But if you were to take into consideration what you said.
Well, I mean, I thought they were really going to try and capitalize on the popularity of this character, but, I don't know. Everyone make your own guess right now, but go ahead, Joe.
So for $350 US, you can own one yourself.
Now, considering I thought it was going to be like $1,200, that's a good deal.
Supply and demand, right?
It's a good deal. Anyway, really, when you look at this thing, you'll see why I say that. But if you're a hardcore collector, I'm sure you'll end up having one of these in your collection. Because, who wouldn't want Baby Yoda staring at you in your living room?
I mean, now that you put it that way, yeah, I don't want one.
I do.
I mean, you put it that way. It's like you walk out in the middle of the night. It's like, whoa!
Yeah, exactly.
Think you got a gremlin in your living room?
Uh-huh.
No, it is fantastic looking. And I know the first thing I said is like, man, I really kind of want to do that. But where the hell am I going to put it?
Right.
I don't know where to put it. I mean, maybe a few years ago when my Star Wars collection was significantly smaller.
Yeah, it's certainly, for a small place, it's a significant size piece. So
Yeah, and when you start factoring in, like, I've already got some significantly sized Star Wars items. Particularly, like, I started doing some Lego stuff for a little while,
mm-hmm.
and that took up space real fast.
Oh yeah,
like real fast. So yeah, I'm like, I don't know where I'll put this thing, but pre-orders are still going. I don't know how long pre-orders will go for. I haven't seemed to have been able to locate that information. Let's see if I. Yeah, nothing I have right here says when the deadline is for pre-ordering. But yeah, I've definitely thought about it.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure. We may have to end up with one of these, I think, if it's up to my wife. So
yeah.
She loves the Baby Yoda.
Yeah, and if you do, I might have to come over and hold it.
Sure, absolutely. Get your picture taken with it.
Yep.
I love it.
Yeah, it's yeah, wow. And like I said, I've seen plenty of sideshow pieces at conventions and things like that, and they just do phenomenal work. So
absolutely,
like I said, at the risk of sounding like an ad, well, I mean, I guess if it sounds like an ad, it's a free ad.
Right.
It's not good business.
Mm-hmm. So,
but it's our honest opinions.
Yes.
We think it looks cool. Check it out for yourself.
Definitely.
We're just putting it on the radar. Have something to add to the conversation? Or you just want to let us know how we're doing? Email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best place to get in on the action. But if social media is a little more to your liking, @TheWarsAndMore on Twitter is always a good place to interact with us. And we're also on Facebook, facebook.com/TheWarsAndMore. And of course, your portal to this and everything else, The Wars and More, is thewarsandmore.com. All right, The Mandalorian, something we can't seem to stop talking about, which rightfully so, right?
Absolutely.
So, The Mandalorian and Disney Plus, The Mandalorian has really, really boosted the popularity of Disney Plus. Word of mouth. I've noticed this just in my conversations. You start talking about it, and even the casual Star Wars fan gets intrigued.
Oh yeah,
hearing you talk about this.
Yes, it's amazing because it is. Not only is it Star Wars, but it is just a good show on its own. That even people who you wouldn't think would be interested are interested. So,
yeah, now that I think about it, I guess free advertising is my thing.
Yeah. Yeah, we're plugging something else, are we?
No, I'm just saying, like, talking to my friends about The Mandalorian. I'm like, no, dude, you got to see the show.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And, yeah, I guess free advertising is just what I do.
But hey, when you're right about something, you're right about something, right?
Yeah,
and
you're right.
Having to see this show is a thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing. And so Disney Plus is up to a whopping 26.5 million subscribers so far.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good considering Hulu's been out for how long?
Oh gosh.
Like just rough stab.
I don't know, 6-7 years.
Yeah, I would say that's probably pretty accurate. 6-7 years.
Yeah.
Hulu's sitting at 30 million subscribers.
Gotcha.
So Disney Plus is up to 26.5. Now it's a far cry from HBO's 140 and Netflix's 165 million.
This is true, but you know, HBO has had a subscription base for decades. You know, not in the same way, not in streaming, but you know, they have a loyal following as it is.
Right.
And Netflix has had the first mover advantage on streaming services for quite a while.
And not only that, but they have a variety advantage.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, Disney is a very it's a very niche market,
Yeah,
you know.
But bear in mind, some of their variety was Disney product for quite a while until Disney Plus came along.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see an even bigger boost because right now they've got a decent portion of Star Wars audience.
Yeah.
Okay. The loyal Star Wars audience, the hardcore followers.
Sure.
You know, this is a significant chunk of that. And of course you got the parents with kids in the Disney market.
Yes.
Molded into that. Pretty soon you're going to get the Marvel market.
Yeah,
It's a move that hasn't really been made yet, I'm figuring. But when these Marvel shows kick off,
yes, which is going to happen this year.
yes. Which you're going to start seeing what's the first one coming is Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Is that the first one?
I believe so.
And then you got Loki coming.
Loki won't be till next year, as far as
Right. Loki's going to get a huge boost, I think.
I think so too. Let's see here.
Here's an interesting thought. Like, I read an article the other day, right, that talked about a huge drop-off in Disney Plus subscriptions with the end of
The Mandalorian. Yeah.
The Mandalorian season 1.
Yeah.
And then I see this article that says Disney Plus is up to 26.5 million. And I'm like, is this including that drop or prior to that drop?
So you know, they just Bob Iger just had the investor call, and he addresses this in the investor call. I didn't clip it or anything, but they were expecting to see some turnaround there. And according to him, he said it was far less than what they were anticipating. So I got a feeling there's a lot of people hanging on for things like the Clone Wars. And
right.
Then, as we move along, you know, there's going to be things like this coming. So you were right. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier will debut in August, and WandaVision will be premiering in December. So I think they're pretty smart, actually, in kind of spacing these things out. You know, I mean, especially
and doing it episodically.
Yeah, with the way they release them, right? You're getting an episode per week. Well,
which is kind of drawing the ire of some people and has stopped some people from going to Disney Plus in
really?
Just my circle of friends.
Wow. Okay.
They're like, no, I'd rather be able to watch it in a weekend. I'm like, okay.
I
mean,
don't know.
I kind of question what you do with your weekends.
Yeah.
But
yeah, exactly. I don't mind that, actually, because there was the last season of Stranger Things. I felt almost like I had to hurry up and burn through this season to get it all watched before somebody spoiled it for me.
Exactly.
And it was like,
and that's what I don't like about the series being released in one big chunk.
Right.
Because I feel the same way every time I watch a new show. Like I just did that with The Witcher.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hurried up and watched it because I didn't want anyone to ruin it for me.
Exactly.
And I know I claim to be like immune to spoilers, and I pretty much knew the entirety of the Rise of Skywalker before it came out. But just because I say that, okay, yeah, I get spoiled and it doesn't ruin the experience for me overall, doesn't mean I absolutely want to be spoiled.
Right. It's obviously human nature to not want to be spoiled. But when you think about it, if you're interested in the Clone Wars, that's going to begin February 21st, and there's going to be 12 weeks of that. I mean, you don't have too long of a wait before the Falcon and Winter Soldier comes out, and then we'll be back into Mandalorian again.
Yep, October.
Yes, Bob said we'll be in October. So very interesting there.
Yes, just in time for my birthday.
I think they're being very smart in how they're deploying these shows.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. And, it's like I've told a couple of my friends that are like, I like binge watching. I'm like, okay, sure. Sometimes it's fun because I'm not necessarily a binge watcher per se, but I don't always stop with one episode. A lot of times I'll watch 2 or 3.
Yes.
And then I'll call it a day.
Yep.
And I like being able to do that when I can. But at the same time, the main reason I like these streaming services is, man, I can just watch a show without commercials.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing breaks the flow of something like Star Wars or something like that than an advertisement. Nothing breaks it like an advertisement.
Yeah.
And I'd like to keep the momentum through my viewing experience.
Yes.
And if that means me paying for a service to do that, then I do that.
Absolutely.
Because I'd much rather pay money than watch ads. Because 90% of ads, I could give a damn less about.
Yeah. Yep. And being Star Wars fans, right? We watch everything at least 500 times, right? So we get it episodically week to week when it first comes out, which I'm totally cool with. But then once a season is done, then you go back and you binge watch it.
Right.
I have seen.
And not only that, but from one week to the next, I can watch it 2 or 3 times.
Oh, absolutely. I do that too. So
because it's Star Wars and I probably missed something.
Yeah, exactly. We do this with Star Wars. So The Mandalorian, for example, I did exactly that. Every week, I watch that episode at least twice.
Yep.
And I have gone back since and watched the whole season over again in a binge fashion. So that's when you binge watch it, as far as I'm concerned.
Which is kind of fun because that series as a binge watch is almost like a movie.
Right.
Because it's very linear. One episode carries right into the next.
Yes.
So it's very fun that way.
Totally. It's a good I don't know. It's a good way of going about it, and I think they're being smart about it. So,
all right. So another thing that was mentioned in this investor call.
Yeah.
Talk of spin-off series with Mandalorian characters. Now, the way this was worded, I don't know if it's existing characters or characters to come.
So the words that were used were familiar and new characters. So,
but it sounded like he said like the introduction of familiar and new. Yeah.
So
The series could see implementation of new/familiar characters into the series, which could lead to those characters being greenlit for their own Disney Plus spin-off series.
yes. I don't know what to make of it.
So it's like, are you bringing in characters that we know? Are you bringing characters that we know into the series, and then thinking of spinning those characters off? Or are you saying new characters that we bring into the series, and then the familiar characters we already have, and talking spin-offs?
Yeah. Because
are we talking a Cara Dune spin-off? Are we talking a what's the assassin there that showed up? The assassin that we were like excited about.
Oh.
Fennec Shan or something like that.
Yes. Fennec Shan or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the first person everyone thought of was Cara Dune. That's because
without a doubt.
I think everyone has loved that character so far and could just see a series of her own. So, I mean, that I think is almost a given at this point. Now, maybe it's the way that sentence was structured. Okay, you basically just read it, and there's it did not take long for speculation online. Are we going to see Luke pop in and out? Are we going to see, whoever? It's like I don't know, but I almost wonder. I don't know. It's hard to say who it could be because, God, it's Star Wars. You could take any background character.
I know who it is.
Uh-oh. Who?
It's obviously Boba Fett.
Oh, stop it. Man, I thought you were being serious for a minute.
Good. Means I can still catch you off guard.
Yeah. But you know how it is, right? You can take any background character and develop a whole story around them. This is Star Wars. They've been doing this for years in the EU. So, and God, I would love to see some of those stories fleshed out, I just think, it is a clean slate. They can go anywhere with this. So, but I have to say,
do like a stories from the guild.
Yeah,
it's just straight up bounty hunting all the time.
Yeah,
IG-11, all before the events of the Mandalorian.
It could be. What was I going to say? Crap. I don't know. Just it's wide open.
Yeah. Definitely wide open. And yeah. Yeah, Cara Dune was the obvious
yes.
Latch onto.
That's what I was going to say. Yes. If they just made this statement just to kind of put the feelers out there, just to get the, throw their finger up in the wind to see which way it's blowing, I think, they got a gale force in Cara Dune's direction for sure. So I think they're going to be paying close attention to the buzz online.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think some backstory into Cara Dune would be a welcomed addition to the Star Wars story.
God, yes.
I mean, who doesn't want to see not a Republic, but a rebel shock trooper story?
Yeah. And that would be awesome.
A story from a trooper would be an interesting tale to tell.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know. You could eat, you know, this is the sort of thing that video games and stuff have the ability to do. You know, they do it sometimes, not all the time, but
Yeah, Republic Commando, anybody?
right. You're telling the story from like, okay, you're not with the main movie characters, but you're off over here, right? You're in the flanking position, so you gotta handle things over there. And you know, we could get that side of the story. You know, I mean, we have people in charge that are pretty crafty, and I'm sure they could figure that kind of stuff out.
Well, I mean, so let's use the Clone Wars as an example. Okay. I don't think at the inception of the Clone Wars, they had any idea how much people were going to latch on to characters like Rex and Cody.
Oh, yeah.
And be able to tell entire story arcs about clone troopers.
Yeah. Well,
I don't think that was even in their on their radar.
Well, I don't know. Because
I mean, maybe on the radar, but I think the reception of those characters made it happen.
Yeah, I think. I mean, you know, we had the Clone Wars movie, and then I'm thinking of the first episode, Ambush, with Yoda and the clones, and from the get-go with that episode, you know, we were seeing that they were delving into that, you know, even though you're a clone, you're still an individual kind of thing a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
But I'm talking like just the clone trooper centric arcs.
Mm-hmm.
Not even considering there being a Yoda there or an Anakin there or an Obi-Wan there.
Right.
They ended up telling stories that were only these troopers.
Yeah. Some of this has to do also with why the Clone Wars would jump around in the timeline a little bit. Because that was one of George's things. Is like, after thinking about it, after things have developed, he would go back and tell a story like that. You know?
Right.
So, yeah, I see what you're saying.
And which is why I think it got so hectic in the beginning.
Uh-huh.
And then as the series went on, it leveled out because they found their footing.
Yeah,
we can tell these stories and then go tell these stories and then go tell these stories, but we can do it in a more linear fashion towards the end because we expected that.
Right.
I don't think early on they expected that they were going to head that direction. And that's why I kind of jumped a little.
Yeah. Not to mention,
I mean, maybe the stories were kind of in their mind, but maybe we're kind of like, we can get to that later. We can get to that later. And it's like, oh, wow, people are really latching onto this. Maybe we should tell that story.
Yeah. I was going to say, that's one of George's little eccentricities is he'll tell a story that he's interested in telling at that moment. And, you know, that's just how it goes. So, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of worked for him,
definitely
though.
a George thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I think we have a consensus here. Cara Dune would be a good start.
Absolutely. And we're waiting with bated breath to see who else is introduced into this series.
Yeah. Especially reading the words the way they're written there and the way they were spoken.
Yes.
It's definitely intriguing. It sounds like we are going to get Bo-Katan.
Oh man.
I'm just hoping, man. She's pissed about the Darksaber, man.
Right. That'd be cool.
Or a Hondo Onaka series.
Oh. Also would be cool.
I could keep going. I mean, that would be a familiar character, right?
That's for sure.
But I mean, that wouldn't be no new development in us calling for a series. I think we've been calling for a Hondo series since this show started.
Hey, maybe they've been listening. It's possible.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. All right. One last thing before we get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
You remember way back, before the sale to Disney,
Yeah,
there was talk of a live action Star Wars series.
there was a lot of talk about this. Yes.
Yes.
There's 50 stories sitting on the
Yes.
shelf.
Star Wars Underworld. I know you've seen the test footage. Well, let's go ahead and say the alleged test footage. It looks pretty legit,
Oh, yeah.
but we'll still throw the alleged there because it's not confirmed. I don't think Lucasfilm is going to come out and say, yeah, that's us.
Probably not. What I will say about this, I'm hearing a lot of stuff both ways on this, like people liking it, other people saying it's not so great. What I would say is, if this is legit, this looks like something to me that a studio would probably put together to try and shop a show around.
Yes.
I think
This is something you show to producers.
yeah, it's something you throw together to say, hey, this is just like it's 5 minutes long, and you could show them and say, this is just concept. This is our moving concept art, basically, right?
Right.
So, and this is kind of what we have in mind for it moving forward, and blah blah blah. You have one of those meetings, but overall, I think it looks really good. Some of the acting is a little clunky, but something done kind of like just in house, yeah, I could see that. But I don't know, the effects were great.
Yeah, and then the thing that really makes me gravitate towards this is probably real is the whole production footage that's attached to the end of this.
Yes.
That's not really something that goes along with fan films.
True. Not usually. And again, that does go right along with probably something you would show to prospective networks and producers and things like that, because and directors, right? Because then you give them kind of like the inside track on how you're kind of planning on shooting this, because there was obviously a whole bunch of green screen stuff going on there.
Yeah, I mean, like, look how much money we're saving on set building here. Like,
and how much money we're spending on CGI. Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I think there's probably a cost to there's definitely some offset there. Doing as much CGI as they did, there may be some for a weekly or whatever, for an episodic series.
Yeah.
Set building is not going to be very practical.
Exactly.
And in order to do it and do it in a fashion that would be able to keep up with the production schedule, like that would probably end up being more expensive than doing just the CGI work.
Yeah, for sure.
Because while set building and stuff like that, it's probably it's not probably, it is cheaper than doing all that CGI work normally.
Yeah.
But when you're in a tight production schedule, if you gotta build a set, tear it down, build a set, you got people working around the clock, and you're bringing in materials around the clock for a, let's just say 20 episode season or less, say a 10 episode season.
Yeah.
If you're building full size sets for a 10 episode season and you're doing it in a production schedule for a TV show, yeah, you're spending some money.
Absolutely.
You're actually getting into the territory where CGI is probably the cheaper option, which is craziness.
Well, I would say for a show like what we got a glimpse of here, you don't have a choice but to put some CGI in. And if you're going to have some practical sets, and I guess what you're talking about, right, is the skill level, right, of someone building a practical set versus the skill and pay difference of like a CGI artist. There is probably a difference there. And I imagine to make a show like this, they'd both be working around the clock kind of thing.
Yes.
So, I think the problem here is probably the amount of CGI that had to be done. And let's remember when this was done. This was done, what, 2010, something like that?
Yeah.
And that's 10 years ago. That's a totally different story. And George even said it. It's just too expensive to make this kind of show right now. So,
yeah, and you're not talking like computer generated for animation. You're talking live action grade computer generated effects.
The stuff he was doing in the prequels.
Yes.
I mean, that's what it boils down to, because he pioneered that stuff. So, I mean, he knew what it was all about, but he also knew
the cost that comes along with it.
That comes with it, absolutely. So, yeah, I don't know. I think, like I said, it looked really good. Again, I think the acting was a little clunky, but I think the acting probably was done by people working there, not necessarily.
Yeah, hey, what are you doing right now?
Yeah, exactly. Here, throw the stormtrooper suit on, and kind of walk around over here, huddle around with these stormtroopers, because that's kind of like what.
Not everyone gets Ryan Reynolds for their test footage,
right? But I mean, some of these, the stormtroopers didn't seem as disciplined as stormtroopers normally do, right? In the films,
right?
So there's a little bit of that, but and not to mention they're standing 4 feet away from the shop owner and couldn't hit him. That was amazing. But
oh, that shootout scene is ridiculous.
That was par for the course for stormtroopers, though.
It's not just stormtroopers. Apparently the other people can't shoot either.
That's why I threw a grenade, so it all worked out.
Yeah. Can't hit it. I mean, at least that guy had an excuse. He was ducking behind a desk and kind of blind firing.
Absolutely.
But like everyone else was standing up looking at their target. And I mean, really?
It was pretty amazing. I got to say, I like that. Made me chuckle.
Yeah, I definitely don't dislike the footage. I don't look, I'm not going to say I don't like it because it's test footage.
Exactly.
This is something they were thrown together to showcase what they can do.
Yeah.
And the idea behind that prolonged shootout with them not being able to hit anything is to show what they can do for a shootout.
Yep.
If they just go ahead and hit their targets, then you don't demonstrate that.
Yeah. Like I said, I call this moving concept art.
Yes.
Kind of thing. It's it's like those pictures that we were talking about earlier, except here we have him moving. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the reason this gets so much traction right now is because I think with today's technology, something like this is far more reasonable.
Absolutely.
I mean, The Mandalorian uses a lot of CGI work.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, there's a lot of, set stuff and on location stuff and things like that, but at the same time, there are a ton of computer generated environments.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, this is much more a realistic idea today than it was when George proposed it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. There's no doubt about that. I mean,
And even George said it back then.
yeah, exactly.
We want to do it, but at what, $10 million an episode, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And they've thrown every bit and more of that at The Mandalorian. So, yeah.
But I mean, $10 million an episode then wouldn't get you what $10 million an episode will get you now.
This is true. But still cool to see. I think, again, like we said earlier, getting to see all this stuff, it's cool. I'm not bent out of shape about what could have been or what wasn't or anything like that. I think it's just cool to see. And, as a Star Wars fan, I'll just soak it all in. So,
hey, I think if they would have thrown a double-bladed lightsaber there, you would have been singing a different tune.
oh, really?
Oh, we could have had this.
I don't know about that. I'm not one to cry about a double-bladed lightsaber.
That's true.
Yeah.
I am.
That's funny.
I'm sorry. A character that uses a staff, it just makes sense that they would use a saber staff.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, using a staff is a little bit different. I think she would forget what she was using at some point and just grab the blade, and that would be tragic.
Also, an educational moment.
Yeah.
Characters lose hands all the time. I'm just saying.
Self-inflicted? Come on.
It just could happen. Educational.
Right. Anyway, I digress.
I just think that she would have been able to adapt to a saber staff relatively quickly, and it made sense.
Well, there are
her fighting styles that she was already comfortable with were suited to that.
There are at least tens of thousands of people that agree with you. I will say that.
Man, that's a funny way to say millions.
Okay, then millions. Whatever you want. There's lots of people that agree with you. I think things are fine just the way they are. But,
Oh, I mean, I'm not mad.
Okay, good.
Not mad. I think it made sense. I understand. They just want to leave the saber staff to Darth Maul.
I think that's a good choice.
And video games.
Yeah, and video games.
So plenty of saber staffs in video games.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, if you have anything to add, you can always email us, show@thewarsofmore.com. It's the best way to get a hold of us. We're also on social media. We're at The Wars of More on Twitter, facebook.com/thewarsofmore. You can find all that and all the ways to find the show over at thewarsofmore.com. Any final thoughts this week, Doug?
No, I think that about covers it.
All right. We will talk next week.